Jesse was struggling with his ball striking with his irons, and he recently came to a golf school with us, and that was his main focus. He wanted to get better. In this video, we're going to share with you how we fixed his ball striking in 3 simple steps. By the end of the golf school, he was hitting ball turf consistently with way more height, and we're going to show you exactly what we did and how you can do the same. So the first thing that we looked at with Jesse was his setup. Like with anyone, we need to see if there's anything in the setup that's causing these inconsistent strikes. Now with Jesse, the ball position was way back. Jesse knew, Pierce, that we needed to create a nice forward shaft lean. So just show us what good impact looks like.
So that would be set up kind of 50-50 weight, handle slightly forward, maybe on the inside of the left thigh. When we are going to impact, there's going to be a lot more shifting and rotation. And that is what's going to lever the handle forward and create that forward shaft lean.
Now, Jesse knew that he wanted to be here, but what he did was, he's like, well, let me cheat it.
Let me cheat it. Such a lazy person.
Let me cheat it. And this a lot of people do. So they go, well, okay, well, I can achieve that by putting the ball position back. You'll see on the screen here, it was towards that, almost towards the right heel. The issue with this was, and you'll see the divots on screen that he was hitting, this was creating way too much steepness. The attack angle was so steep that he was taking some huge chunks. Sometimes he'd get it nice. Yeah. But a lot of the time he'd misstrike it, and then that would cause him some problems. But also the ball flight was coming out super low. The issue with having it back in the stance, we see this a lot, Piers, as well, is golfers will do this to try and downward strike it. This robs them of any dynamism and movement, doesn't it? Just show us what that looks like.
Well, from here straight away, the first move that can happen is we can get this little bit of a sway, because you've got to feel it, you've got to get behind the ball somewhat. But as soon as I'm here now, imagine this, if I was to shift, rotate and lean the shaft, I could probably go over the top of the golf ball. So if I did everything I wanted to do, or Jesse wanted to do in the downswing, he might miss it. So actually what's going to happen is you get a little bit behind it here, and then ultimately you're just going to stay on that back foot. And we'll see that happen all the time. Now he might get the forward shaft lean, he might get the big divot, but he's not moving his body efficiently, so he's robbing himself of power.
Now Jesse knew that subconsciously, so he would tilt his upper body back this way. So he had a bit of a mixture of things going on here. The ball was back, his spine was tilted like a driver. This isn't how we want to set up for the iron. So the first thing that we did, we said, right, look, let's change the ball position. So we said a great guide for Jesse to start with is just ahead of the center of the stance. Now, the first couple of shots when we did this weren't particularly great, but think about this, he's conditioned a ball position that's way back. We said, what's the likelihood that you're going to hit the ground first now? He said, well, pretty high, because look, he's not used to this.
Or you could thin it, or you could thin it as well.
Thin it as well, clean. But I wanted to shallow out his strikes. I wanted to see that ball and turf was much shallower and not digging into the ground. First 5 to 10 shots were a little iffy, but then he started settling into this ball position. His body started to sort of synchronize and condition to this, adjust to the ball position. He started really crisping them off. So let's just take a shot here and just, we'll see the movement this creates, and it still is going to help us create some shaft lean. Actually, it was going to help us create better shaft lean.
Because of that sequence and moving forward.
Correct.
Yeah, all right, let's see what happens on this one. For some reason, I thought about making sure I get forward shaft lean. I didn't need to do that.
And you can see on the ground there, look beautiful. The divot's just past the ball, exactly where we want it, and it's not super deep either. Then we said, right, let's take a look at the backswing. What else is going on? As Piers has already mentioned, when somebody gets the ball back, they know that they need to create the height. So we saw that Jesse had a little bit of a shift of that lower body, a little bit of a sway, not huge, but enough to cause a problem. So instead of actually having this sway and then staying behind it, we said we wanted to create a more centered pivot where he actually sort of turns more into this leg so he can then drive this way. He said, I feel like I'm coiling into this hip. And this again is just going to help him with the consistency of the low point, really.
I love coiling as well. I think it's a really good way of thinking about it, because it kind of suggests that it's going to rotate kind of upwards. Because what happens here is the hip, as it rotates, it naturally goes up a little bit as well as going back. If we do those two moves together, up and back with that hip, it's gonna really get us to be able to load behind the ball.
So here's the drill, very simple, that we did with Jesse. All we did was put the alignment stick just next to his leg like this. And we said if we were to just start on his leg like that, we wanted to maintain contact with that. So we would just turn against that there. So as soon as we sway, you'll feel the pressure going against it. What we also don't want to do is reverse pivot too much away from this either. So we don't want to do this because that gets the weight onto the left leg either. So that's not a good thing. So we would just turn against that there. So here's that coil that Piers is talking about. Jesse kept saying, oh, I can feel it in my right glute. And that sensation for him by doing this drill really helped him create a more efficient turn in the backswing there. This was great feedback for Jesse. He felt it and he said, I can just really feel that right glute.
And you can hit shots with this as well. Obviously, we're on grass here. Obviously, time of year, we're at the range, maybe a little bit more off mats. Just get a range basket and just stick it in there, and it works really well. This is what good players do in between shots. They have something like this that they work at, whereas maybe Jesse before would hit a bad shot and then get another ball in and try and hit another one. Another ball, another ball, another ball. Understand what you need first of all, but then break down the movements with things like this. It works really well.
Good, and you can see Pierce's ball position, look, is probably forward of where Jesse's is, but this helps him move towards the target.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What are you doing to me?
What's going on? Pierce is actually ripping it today. Third thing, final thing that we did with Jesse. Jesse was getting a little narrow in the backswing. A couple of things that he was focusing on. He knew that he needed to create angle in the shaft. So he was almost doing it super early. So you'll see by the time the lead arm got parallel to the ground, there was a lot of angle in the shaft there. Now, one of the things that I could feel with Jesse, I'd come in and I'd sort of manhandle him and I'd go, just relax.
You enjoyed that part, didn't you?
Relax for me a little bit. He was pinning this right arm to the chest. We hear this a lot, you know, online. He was trying to pin this right arm to the chest. This also encourages you to get narrow. We don't like this bicep pinned to the chest. We actually like it having a little bit of freedom away because it helps create a little bit more width. So Jesse was a little too narrow, which was then really adding to his poor strikes. If we get too narrow on the way back, we have to release the angles. But if we don't release the angles, we get so narrow that we just create such little loft, the ball just goes too low. So we wanted to make sure that he was starting the backswing by working the torso. The torso working early is what created the width. So we said, right, let's swing back to the lead arm parallel for us. And what we want to see is that we get roughly 90 degrees between here. Now notice we've also got a little bit of daylight between this right arm and the body. I love this. Jesse was in here tight, and that's where that swing comes from. So we would make sure we coiled into the hip first, create the width. He would rehearse here. He'd then come back to the golf ball, and then he'd put that into a whole motion of the golf swing as a rehearsal, back and then through, really focusing on the coil and the width, and that pairing, that combination really synced the whole backswing up. You know, it took 2 days. By the end of the golf school, he got it, he nailed it, but it was through repetition, great feedback, great focus on the key things, and he got it by the end there. Give me that rehearsal, so just come halfway back, there you go, there's that nice width, lead arm parallel. We did a lot of mirror work as well with Jesse. You can do that. You can also use live practice, which is in our app. That's a great feedback tool for you. And then we had that fluid motion, really important. And then fire away.
Okay, it's a check it, make sure it's good. Then it's fluid, keep the flow, and then hit. That's a nice little routine for someone going through this, isn't it? Again, try to work it, hitting it late for some reason.
Do you know what though? Clean, and that's what we said with Jesse. The clean ones were better than the fat ones. And if you hit that shot, it's still scoreable, it's functional, and you can still play golf from there. If you want to find out how you can have coaching from myself and Pierce, head to the links in the description for more details on our golf school and our membership. I look forward to seeing you again soon.